Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bowers Batch. Today we have a very special guest. We have YouTuber Cinephile India 2023. Is that correct? I got it correct.
Yeah, you got it
Yeah.
correct.
Well, you can introduce yourself too, but we're collaborating with him. He's another user on social media who loves movies. I think he reviews even more than us across all languages. So this is our first collaboration with another creator, and we will link his socials and we'll link his channel. So please check him out and subscribe. He does wonderful content. I've seen his stuff. So I'll let you introduce yourself too.
Oh, that's a good introduction. Thank you. Yeah, cinephileindia.com. That links to my YouTube page. So, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm
Yeah,
excited to discuss some bad movies.
yeah,
Yes.
of course. No, that yeah, beautiful segue. So today we're going to be talking about some of our least favorite movies in 2024, along with, since we have three different reviewers, we all have three different preferences. How do we review movies? What do we look for? So maybe we can start off by some intellectual discussion before we jump into discussing the rods of the year. So maybe we can talk about, we're reviewers. What do we look for in a movie? So you're our guest. You can start. Tell us, how do you view movies? How do you rate them? Like, what do you like in a movie?
Yeah. I think that's a good way to start. So, I have three basic rules, like ground rules for every movie. So, first one, every movie is different, right? And then second is no personal biases when you watch a movie. It start with a clean slate. And always focus on the overall experience because obviously I'm not a critic. Critic is a tall order, right? Calling myself I'm not. At the end of the day, if I'm spending certain amount of money, was it worth it in the end, right? Those are the three ground rules. Now, having said that, when I am watching movie, there are basically like seven things that I look for. I actually make a list every time I go watch a movie. The first one is story screenplay, right? Well, actually more screenplay than story. I'll come to it a bit later. We can dive into it. Um, was the movie engaging? Right? Screenplay is the one that makes or breaks a movie. Even you can have a great story, but bad screenplay totally kills the momentum, right? You would feel like, what am I doing here? I mean, usually in Telugu, we call lag undra antuntam. That's exactly the immediate side effect of a bad screenplay, right? And then acting. Were the actors convincing? Like the way I judge, basically, I used to kind of act on TV back in India when I was a kid with my dad. My dad was an actor too on TV as well. And he was a stage actor. So one rule that he told me was number one, acting 101, if you consider if somebody is blinking too much while uttering a dialogue, then you lost him on screen. Just take example, right? I think I'm gonna probably anger a lot of fans here, but that's one aspect I don't like about in NTR. You watch him. He's a good actor. He's probably the best to speak Telugu the way it is supposed to be spoken. But you watch an intense drama, intense scene going on, and he blinks incessantly. Right, that impact is gone. Right? I'm not saying he's a bad actor, but then that becomes the job of the director to make him not blink. Right, so that's where it's important. And then production design, everything set, makeup, the setting, what they use, is it realistic for the era that the story is trying to convey, those kind of things. And then sound design, uh, cinematography, music, and of course direction, right? And then tying this all together, was it worth it in the end, right? So yeah, there's no, I don't give a weightage to any of this particularly, but story and screenplay is the number one. Direction comes last. If everything is fine, the director job is to just call the shots. That's it. Right? So yeah, that's how basically three ground rules and kind of what I look for in a movie. If I'm rating a movie 10 on 10, probably it is checking all the boxes most of the time. So yeah, that's my process. Very simple.
Yeah, no, that's a really good way to look at it. Because a lot of people, I guess, don't focus on the technicalities and like they'll say, yeah, like the movie does, it's not good, lag, whatever, all these terms, but they won't know specifically, oh, it's because of the screenplay here and there that the movie lagged, or because the production design is what made you feel like it was low budget or like, like it didn't look good.
Yeah.
So it's cool that like, you pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a right way or wrong way, right? I mean, if you, I mean, you don't have to get technical.
Yeah.
because I like to enjoy those details. So I tend to look for those. But in the end, as I said, one of the ground rules is despite I have my own measures, these 7 steps, at the end of the day, how was the overall experience, right? It's
Yeah.
okay you focus on that, that's fine too, but then what goes into making that experience is all these 7 different things, right? So
Yeah.
that's where you get a little technical, and I enjoy the process. I try looking for these things, and if I'm watching a thriller, I try to guess when I'm watching the movie, and if I'm able to guess, then the guy lost me, right? Because
Yeah.
what's the point, right? And if I'm not able to guess, then yeah, he got my attention, right? It's a very
Yeah.
simple yardstick, very simple. Production design, like for example, we were talking about Saripoda Senivaram, right?
Mhm.
Why it didn't, I mean, it was okay for me, but it never felt personal, the
Mhm.
movie, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where the screenplay was good. The
Hmm.
screenplay was good, everything was good, the acting was top notch. The two guys, Nani and SJ Surya, they both delivered the needed performances, but then it never feels personal, right? So that's where the story is lacking, right?
Yep.
And the production design, that whole set, the whole crux of the movie is that set, that Sokulapalam set, right? It never feels real, as
Yeah.
in you only see one house in there
Yeah.
for the whole set. What happens there, right? What do people do? The whole world building aspect of it, right? It's lost on me. So yeah, it didn't work for me in the end because of those things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think even we for Study Pod gave kind of like an average review. I was really hyped up for it, looking forward to it, but yeah, it did disappoint me a little bit because of literally what you just said. So yeah, same feelings. I echo that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you,
So I
Venkat?
mean, yeah. So technicalities wise, and then like I'm not too familiar with filmmaking as you might be growing up, with the father in the industry, but for me, I like movies when I go in, they entertain me.
Yeah.
So for example, Baby on a Kalakandam that
Oh
people
yeah.
say is a
Oh
Kalakandam.
no,
But
I enjoyed Baby actually.
I agree. So because I didn't feel bored for 3 hours, so I cannot, out of the goodness of my heart, say that was a bad movie. Even though there was some bad writing, there was some bad, acting, and even Student of the Year. Ante, like it's corny, it's cheesy, but that's the point of it. So I think for me, a movie is what entertains me. It keeps me hooked. And when I leave the theater feeling more satisfied than disappointed, I think a lot of movies have a great first half, and I always tell Sai this, but they always fail to bring it home with a good second half.
Yeah.
And I cannot give credit to movies like that. I would much rather have a mediocre first half, a good setup, and then a great second half. So I'm sitting here, I'm seeing all the loose ends get tied. But for me, it's a movie is a good movie is one where I'm entertained the whole runtime, and one where I feel like the director or staff behind the movie doesn't think that we're idiots. They don't try spoon feeding us details. They don't try giving us exposition every 5 minutes. And I think smart movies, where it goes against the grain, like Tarun Bhaskar movies or
Yeah.
Advisesh, Nani movies, where they do something different,
Yeah.
where I take home something that I didn't have going in. An excellent example is Everu by
Yeah.
Advisesh,
Yeah.
because it's a remake of Badla, but they
Yeah.
add some beautiful twists in that are not in Invisible Guest or Badla, that make it unique to its own. Um, so I think that's an example of a movie that's a remake, but they added even Gabbar Singh with Pawan Kalyan.
Yeah.
I've seen Dabang, I've seen Gabbar Singh, and there's a different flavor to it. So it's all about adapting and bringing new concepts, even if the story is routine. Present it present it in a good way.
Yeah.
And like Mirchi is the most routine story of all time, but look how Koratala
Yeah.
presented
It's enjoyable, right? I mean, I still watch
wonderful.
it sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. If they have
Yeah,
it
I
on
think
my TV, yeah, it's on.
yeah, I think the best way to describe it for me, like how I judge or watch films, is everything, all the technicalities that we talked about, that should not be brought up in my head while watching the movie. Like when I'm watching the movie, I should be involved in the story, and
Yeah.
I should not be thinking, "Oh, that stuck out. Like that set looks weird," or like, "Oh, what is this story? Where is it going?" Or like, "Why am I bored?" Like if my mind goes there, then I
Yep.
know that something's wrong and like something's not good. So a lot of the times that movies that I'm fully entertained by, fully involved in, I don't even think about that. And then at the end, I got to go back and see, oh, okay, maybe in these parts they could have done better, or like, whatever, it's minor stuff, right?
Yeah.
But during the film, if my mind gets pulled in that direction and it pulls me out of the movie, that's when I start, thinking, okay, this is not heading in a good way.
Oh yeah, that's my one of the biggest thing. If for any movie, doesn't matter at any point in time, I am thinking about some random things, then
Yeah.
that's it. It's gone.
Yeah.
It could be even for 5 minutes. That's fine.
Yeah.
So that meant editing was bad, right?
Yeah.
There was no necessity for that scene there.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
could have easily cut it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think, yeah, this is a wonderful segue now into movies that did none of these things that we watch for correctly, which is why they ended up in this episode. So, I think it's good that we gave our value on A Cinema Ishtamu, and then now we're going to talk
yeah.
about movies that fail to meet any of those points. And I think maybe we can just say it out loud because there's no, it's hard to rank bad movies because they're all bad. There's
Yeah.
no least bad of the lot. So I can throw some names out. This Sankranti was such a disappointing season. Okay, so Srikanth actually has this wonderful list where he ranks his movies. So he just pulled up lowest to highest. So he has his nicely figured out on Excel. But I think I saw your rating. I won't give it away. Kani, I hated Saindav and I hated Nasamiranga. I thought Guntur Karam was okay, and I thought Hanuman was the clear winner, which shows content is the winner. But oh my God, Nasamiranga is just a snooze fest, and you
Yeah.
can predict everything that's going to happen from 500 kilometers away. And Saindav is one of the most boring movies ever, and it's I mean, it insults your intelligence. And there's Silesh, okay, scene into the trailer. You guys know what scene I'm talking about, the gunshot teeth. And the guy,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually
Got
he
through the
gave
butt.
he gave an
yes,
explanation for that, how it's
I saw
possible
that.
actually.
uh, that's that's when I was like, he thinks we're idiots. That's what he thinks we're actual
He's
idiots. So
pulling his doctor card because he's a doctor, right? So he's
Yeah.
like, I know the anatomy. Yeah.
it's like
No, but
Nikhil and
yeah.
Chandu Modeti. They're talking about Kartikeya too, WhatsApp
Oh,
University.
no. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I mean, to be honest, Saindav, it kind of worked for me.
Okay.
It's not a great movie. I wouldn't call it like a masterpiece of any sort. It has its quirks for sure. But when I watched it in India first day, like 8 a.m. show at Prasad's in Hyderabad, right? I was there, and all the film crew was there as well. Like, so I met Sailesh Kolanu, and on the leading Shraddha Srinath, and who is the other lady in the movie?
Andrea.
No, I forget the name.
The bad guy's
No,
assistant.
no, no. The other heroine, the lead actress.
Oh, the wife that
Brooke.
passes. Is I forget who it is. I can try pulling.
Yeah, she acted in a movie called Her last year that no one watched, but I somehow managed to. Ruhani
Santa.
Sharma, yeah, Ruhani Sharma.
Mm.
Okay.
So I met them. Like, maybe there was this meeting the film crew bias when I was watching, or maybe it was the first day theatrical experience for a mass hero that was kicking in with all the fans. I kind of enjoyed, but looking back, right, I actually told in one of the reviews, it's probably like a well-made action thriller or something like that. Yeah, story was kind of iffy, but what I liked was the amount of detail that Silas Kolnu put in building the world, right? I think he put a lot of attention. Like, I still remember, it happens in a fictional city. So
Yes.
he even designed custom license plates for all the vehicles, for all the cars in the movie, like to be very specific, right? And then there are some scenes that impress me. That's why I kind of like it, because Venkatesh, when Saindav, when his daughter or somebody is in the hospital and there is a fight that happens there. And normally this guy, Saindav, uses guns, like at the drop of the hat. But in that fight, he doesn't use a gun, right? And then he actively uses melee fights, right? Because he is in a hospital and shooting a gun would disturb the hospital patients. I kind of like that kind of attention that Silas Kolanu made. But then, yeah. So when I watch it from that perspective, I kind of okay. It was not great, but it was okay. But then looking back, right, I'm like, no. But the thing is, I never wanted to watch it again.
Yeah.
So it was forgettable in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a one-off thing. I didn't hate it either. I saw it on, I think, Prime when it came out on OTT, but I didn't absolutely hate it. I didn't think it was like one of the worst of the year or anything like that. It definitely does not live up to the mark. I think like the
Oh
hits
yeah,
are both better that Salish has done. And especially like the topic that he chose for Sign, it could have been something really cool. But yeah, it was, yeah, for me it was average. I didn't like hate it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, I just thought there's a lot more that could have been Eppudu, and I never felt motivation for Venkatesh's character. I never wanted him to win. I never felt pity, Jali, Imlid. I just and Arya shows up. I think he shot his part in maybe like 2 hours because he kind of just goes
yeah,
in and out of the movie.
yeah,
Convenient guy,
yeah,
Altardu Potardu. So I'm just like, and I was excited to see what they would use Arya for because I think he's quite talented over in Tamil.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
and Nawazuddin's dubbing was that really put me off. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely off-putting, but
Hmm.
I was too concerned because he kind of plays a character who is non-Telugu, so fine, I can live with
Ben,
that.
the Ben Stokes. Yeah,
Yeah,
Ben
that
Stokes.
I found it funny actually.
Yeah. But
Uh, but yeah, no, I mean the other like Sankranti season like thing that came out, Hanuman. I know like a lot of people loved it, but I also found that one to be like kind of average. I mean, I saw it in theaters. I saw it much later though, after the release. I think maybe 2 weeks after. But I found it to be average. Like maybe I was already like the hype was there for it. So maybe in my head I try not to do that. I try to check the expectations, before watching something. But at that point, there was so much hype. It was making so much money. So I was like, okay, like I was really intrigued about what's going on in here. And then I found it to be a little bit disappointing. But I don't know, what did you think of it, Srikanth?
No,
Because I know
Hanuman
that
again. Hanuman, I watched again. I was in India, watched in theater.
Mhm.
To me, I wouldn't. It was a well-made movie. The only, I mean, what I liked is, I mean, మన తెలుగు movies లో that's probably the first superhero movie. You could say that, right? I mean, Kalki
Yeah,
wasn't even on the radar 9 months ago, like 8 months ago. And the kind of budget they spent on the movie, I think they got a really good output of it, right? And
yeah,
then they explain clearly like how this guy got his powers, where from, and how they manifested over the course of the movie. I mean, that was a character's journey, how they have evolved. I think that part was fine. What I didn't like though is um the villain was absolutely powerless. When
yeah,
I say powerless, the thing is, you get emotionally attached to the hero only when the villain is as powerful, if not more powerful than the hero, right? That's when the hero's character arc shines, comes through, and then you feel that adrenaline in the end. But there was hardly any screen time for the villain guy, right? And he barely gets to do anything. And so all this power that the Hanuman, I forget the name of his name in the movie, but Teja gets in because of that uh, pearl, because
that
it's an
jab.
oyster, whatever that is, right? Is okay. So what, right?
Mhm.
I know he can fly, um, and I know he can break mountains like with a kick with a fist, But then, so what, right? He never gets to actually face a really good pushback from the villain. Right? He never had a chance. The villain never had a chance. So
Yeah,
that is to me was a bit disappointing. But I think for the amount of money they spent, I think it was a well-made movie.
yeah.
మీ లిస్ట్ లో నేను చూసాను గుంటూరు కారం. You put it at a 1.25, so I wanted to see if you were going to talk about it, but you haven't mentioned it yet. Maybe, but I had to bring it up because
Yeah, yeah. No,
I think we, yeah,
before
yeah,
that, I think Na Samiranga, right? I think you
yeah,
said.
not something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Actually, I think it's actually originally a Malayalam movie.
Yes, yeah,
So
I heard about that.
Oh, it's
2019,
a remake. I didn't know it
and
was a
it
remake.
was a remake. Malayalam movie was pretty good.
Okay.
It was a really good movie, right? Because they only focus on these three characters, right? The main characters. In Malayalam movie, it was called Porinyu Mariam Jos, like three three people, three
Okay.
friends. They focus on these three characters and it becomes very personal. But here, like the entire second act is focused only on Nagarjuna's love story, which had no place in the movie at all whatsoever. They just inserted that, right? That is what totally killed the momentum for me. I was really excited because had they remade faithfully, it would have been a really good Sankranti blockbuster because it was a perfect family entertainer. Well, at least on paper. But then, yeah, Tollywood being
When
Tollywood.
do we ever, yeah, exactly. When do we ever remake something perfectly? I mean, there's
Yeah,
cases that are good, it's a good changes that happen, but more than not, more than that, there's a lot of bad examples of that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, yeah, I can't. It's like I've seen this movie before, and I know how it's going to end. So, I just thought it offered nothing new to my life. I'd rather, I'd rather
Yeah.
watch, Sogade like 5 times than
Oh
watch
yeah,
this
yeah,
once. Yeah. That was a good Sankranti movie, but I mean,
yeah.
I was going through the year on Wikipedia, and hey, this is such a bad year for Tollywood. Besides Kalki,
Oh yeah.
Saripoda, and a few other small movies,
Yeah.
there's been nothing good so far.
Yeah, there's nothing really outstanding. There's a bunch of average stuff
Yeah,
and really
Yeah.
bad stuff.
Yeah.
they,
Yeah. I think, to be
yeah,
honest, it might be one of the worst years in the past, like
yeah.
recent, like decade, maybe even I would say. Like even the movies that you think are good or could be hits are failing miserably because they don't even have a minimum like guarantee of watchability, like some sort of entertainment. There's absolutely nothing in a lot of the films that come out, like the big ones. And one that comes to mind is like Family Star that came out earlier
Oh my
this
God.
year, right?
Yo.
See, like if you look at it on a concept basis, okay, like you have the Geeta Govindam director, which in fact I thought that was an average movie also. I don't know why everyone was freaking out over it. But anyways, you have him. You have a hot star right now, Vijay. You have Dilraju producing it. You have like a good music director. You have the whole setup, right? So you'd expect a baseline minimum guarantee of okay, maybe some sort of family, film entertainment might be in there, like comedy entertainment, something, right? But like scene after scene after scene, it gets miserable and more miserable as you keep watching.
Yeah. And this
And
is where I was mentioning that editing comes into picture. Like now, I think I even made one video. Like this is going to be a disaster year for pretty much all movie industries in India, except maybe for Malayalam. We can discuss about it. That's an entire discussion on itself. Um, I think the main reasons, like two main reasons, is everything has to be pan India for some reason, and everything has to be a 3 hour movie for some reason. I, I don't know. Like Family Star was a 3 hour movie. I don't know
yeah,
how I was able to
ridiculous.
bear it in the theater. It's crazy, right? And that's where editor comes in. Like I said, scene after scene after scene, which they don't even make any sense anymore. You just cut it out, reduce it to 2 hours. Would have been somewhat palatable, right? But no, I think everybody wants longer movies. We are actually, in fact, everybody's attention span is shrinking. Some of these guys are still churning out 3 hour movies.
Mhm.
సినిమాలో like వీడి దొరికిపోయాడు. Like his luck
Yeah,
finally came to an end, and we saw it clear as day. He's not a good actor. And there was no modulation in his voice.
yeah,
Usually, me and Sai always talk about this. Take Gunter Karam, for example. I thought the only difference that saved it from being unwatchable garbage fire to somewhat being okay movie is Mahesh Babu's screen presence and how he
yeah,
can lift a movie
yeah,
from bad to average. But here, if the main hero himself, the main billing, Tanuguda acting చేయకపోతే, then I'm sorry, but your movie's doomed. And
yeah,
outdated tropes like heroes slapping the heroine. And why does VD agree to this? First of all, Arjun Reddy already said he got like a lot of flame for that. And then
yeah,
stuff like if him and Mrinal had a conversation, everything could be cleared up. But it's of course miscommunication. Janal Matladar in these fictional movies and like the CGI dosa and they like, what are you doing? What is happening here? It's just pure waste of your money. And I think
yeah.
Dilraju, I'm glad it flopped because Dilraju needs to learn his lesson, and Vijay needs a. These movies need to flop in order for these actors
Oh
to
yeah,
step
yeah.
out of
And
the
The,
that's
the,
industry.
one good thing that I think the people are doing now. I think these producers like they thought that people will come no matter what, right? They have that thing in their head that okay, we can put out something, we'll make it look all shiny, we'll put some stars in there, we'll put some good music in there. People will come no matter what. But I think this year more than any year, people are straight up rejecting stuff like Family Star or whatever other disasters that came out.
Yeah.
Like there's no like percentage of return they're getting at all. It's like basically like single digit returns, which is good because that sends a clear message that we don't want stuff like this anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when change will come, right? Otherwise, no change will happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
definitely. I think there were some experiments, somewhere, but again, like even the experiments, they fall for traps. Like for example, there is this movie called Parijata Parvam. I don't know if you guys watched it.
No.
Um,
Telugu or
Telugu movie. Yeah, it released back in April.
okay.
Okay.
This new guy who directed that movie. On paper, the premise looked promising. It was a kidnap heist kind of movie. You know, they tried something different, but then totally failed in execution, right? Um, it's not like people are not trying, but then they just carried away to make this somehow this mass kind of movie. And some other movie that came back in February with Suhas in it, Ambaji Petam Marriage Band. I don't know if you guys watched it. Like,
I've heard of that one, but I haven't seen it.
yeah, I mean, on paper, it has a good premise, but then execution totally falters. So yeah, I mean, people are trying, but
Yeah.
I think that last mile is what is needed.
I think another one that comes into the category like you're talking about is Gami also.
Yeah, that was a
Gami, I
true.
think, had a bigger release in terms of like the amount of push it generated in the industry,
Yeah,
but I didn't like it at all. I think
yeah.
I know Phil didn't like it either.
Oh,
Uh,
me neither. It was a wasted opportunity. I mean, the
oh,
amount of
huge
hype.
waste
Yeah,
of opportunity. Yeah, huge waste of opportunity. I mean, what they were shooting it for how many years?
about
Like,
5, 6 years now. I think.
yeah, and then
I remember seeing their crowdfunding campaign on Facebook back in 2018, I believe.
wow, yeah,
Yeah. So.
See,
yeah,
I hesitate calling Gami one of the worst movies of this year, and they did a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
definitely.
I didn't like it at the end of the day, not nachaledu, but I can't discredit it for those visuals for such a low. I mean, those were like Netflix. It beats some of Netflix original series that I've seen. Until like the mental institute where they filmed those scenes. There's a hollowness, there's a darkness, and it
Yeah.
like I felt uneasy watching it, even though I was surrounded by people in the theater. The torture scenes, that, and then the way they portrayed the Himalayas, and it's no joke. So I hesitate calling it one of the worst big effort bettaru, but I wish they kept some of their effort on a better story and script and screenplay, because visuals they knocked it out of the park. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would say it's disappointing. But I wouldn't say it's one of the worst movies I saw this year, but it was a failed experiment, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's what I meant when I said it was a wasted opportunity. Right?
Yeah.
I did like parts of it. Like the mental asylum was
Mhm.
actually traumatic.
Yeah.
It induced like a lot of PTSD in me, right?
Mhm.
And then even I think what stood out to me was that the childhood of that
Mm.
girl, like that.
Yeah, no,
If, when I first saw it, when I was watching it, that to me had the most impact from a story, from a connection point of view, right? And then the mental asylum. What killed me though was Vishwak Sen. That guy has immense talent, but he should work on his dialogue delivery. He's like, no, like he somehow he sounds constipated to me, like when he speaks.
and he
I'm
brings
sure
his accent to every single role that he's in.
exactly right.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah,
Off
Yeah.
and then off screen is a different thing altogether.
Well, I couldn't care less about what
Yeah.
they do off screen. I mean,
Yeah.
it's none of my business.
Yeah.
But
But it's
again,
hard to
right?
root for the underdog when the underdog
Yeah.
is, is Vishwak Sen.
Yeah. So I think the other thing that didn't work is there are like the respect the audience. Like there's absolutely zero respect to the audience in that movie. Like,
Yeah.
you have these red herrings scattered around liberally, quite liberally in the movie. Once you get it, that's fine. I'll give them a pass. But then every other scene is a red herring. So which is it, right? In
Yeah.
the end, it's none of those. Um, so I'm no longer invested in your story anymore. If that's the case, you are purposefully misdirecting the audience, yourself, and you completely lost control of your characters there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that part didn't work for me. I mean, I don't want to get into logical aspects of
Yeah,
the movie
yeah.
at all.
I
That's
can
that's
understand.
another discussion on
Yeah.
itself. But
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and I mean there's a few more movies I have on this list. And really didn't like Om Beam Bush. I would say that's another experiment. It
yeah.
deals with like gay love, and it talks about it's like a friendship movie with the Brochevaraveru
Hmm.
trio, but I don't think I laughed a single time. Sri Vishnu Dikshan Marali, because he
Yeah.
kind of mumbles, and
Yep.
Priyadarshi and Rahul Ramakrishnan were just loud caricatures, and we know what they're capable of. So నాకు అస్సలు నచ్చలేదు. కొందరికి ఎక్కింది. I think it got profits, but I thought it was a joke of a movie, and it didn't make me laugh at all. It was very vulgar at places too.
Yeah.
And the whole Sampangi, non-Sampangi track was just I couldn't relate to. I appreciate that they were trying to they చూపించారు like India's first, I guess, gay love story, but
Yeah.
I mean, you have 2 hours of terrible jokes leading up to the reveal, so who cares?
Yeah, no, I kind of liked it though. It was not great, obviously,
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say I kind of liked it.
yeah, it was genre, right? The genre, as I said,
Yeah,
like
that's
going
true.
back to my ground rules. Was it a great movie? No. Was it technically brilliant? No, but it was fun. It was
Yeah,
slapstick.
and
So,
that's what
it
works.
was, yeah, it works. It's a slapstick comedy, and it has its place, right? I mean, not everything needs to be like logical, makes you think, right? There are some movies I just want to leave my brain at home and just go have fun, right? And I think that's one of those movies.
And
Would I
that's the
watch it
beauty.
again? No.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
But
I
subjective
saw it
because
at home too.
yeah,
I think I saw it on Prime.
yeah, yeah. Like I think Sai didn't like Sama Jaragamana that much, but I loved it.
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
was dying. So it's funny that like both Sri Vishnu characters, one
yeah,
clicks for
yeah,
him, one clicks for me. So I think it's yeah, I don't expect us to have the same list. And Konni, I knew there's some movies that would overlap,
Yeah,
like
like
Double
Family
Smart.
Star, like obviously we all are gonna hate it, but yeah.
yeah. No,
The thing
I
with
think
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say like my top 10 worst Telugu movies this year, right? So I think there's some Eagle,
Yes.
Yeah, we're
Bama
gonna put that up
Kalapam,
too.
Bama Kalapam 2. I don't know if you guys
I
Yeah.
haven't
watched it.
seen that.
I haven't even seen
I
one,
know what it
so
is, but I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, Tantra, and then Geetanjali Malli Vachindi. The first one was good. I thought I'll watch this, but I couldn't sit through more than 30 minutes. And then there's Love Me If You Dare, where this guy falls in love with a ghost. It was terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Double is Smart, obviously.
Oh
yes.
God.
You
Oh
can't like
yes, of course.
my money is on it to be the worst movie of the year. We'll see. We'll see. I haven't
Yeah.
watched
Did
Mr.
you
Bachchan yet.
Yeah, we're gonna
yeah,
watch
we're
it
gonna
tomorrow.
watch it this week. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna watch tomorrow or day after. Tomorrow I'm watching
yeah,
another movie,
same.
but yeah. And then
So
Gum Ganesha, Operation
I couldn't finish
Valentine.
that one. I started Gummy Ganesha. I went like half an hour in, I stopped. I couldn't finish it.
Yeah, yeah,
Operation Valentine is Varantage.
yeah,
Okay.
I haven't even watched that.
yeah. Operation. There's no need to. Nasamiranga, Family Star, Guntur Karam, like basically.
Yeah, you're a very brave soul because half of those I didn't even attempt to.
Yeah, I know.
No,
That's
I
crazy.
watched all of these in at the cinema. So we,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I didn't hear this movie. Listu mentioned Jailadu, but I thought Gangs of Godavari was a colossal waste of time.
oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it
Um,
was. I mean,
Yeah, we
it
hated
didn't
that
make
one.
my. It's right next to Guntur Karam. I mean, it just
okay.
is 11. Right, it didn't make the top 10 cut. That's
Yeah.
barely.
Oh, I absolutely hated that movie. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
And the
That
twist
movie,
to intermission, oh my
yeah,
God.
I hated it.
And I,
Yeah,
I cannot stress how bad Eagle and Double Ishmael. That's my one and two. I think Eagle is just such a mind-numbingly dumb movie. And Ravi Teja is basically God, and he gives up his own daughter in the end. And I'm like, what is this? Like, it's so hard to believe it. And
uh,
after that, he comes with Mr. Bachchan. So clearly, he's not invested in his career, and neither should we be. And
yeah. I think I mean that guy stopped taking himself seriously long time ago. There's no point watching his movies now. It's a waste of
and
time.
and Double
Yeah.
Ishmael, and we wasted our money, effort, and time. you can't call it a film. I don't even know how you can come up with that Boca track.
Oh,
Frankly speaking, అంటే అసలు ఏం తీసుకున్నారో తెలీదు సీన్ రాసే ముందు, but it takes a special level of intelligence to write
yeah.
such
I mean,
dialogues.
I was chatting about this with my wife the other day. She didn't watch it. She was like, "Okay, shall I watch?" Like, no,
No.
just don't even attempt it, right? I mean, Puri Jagannath's movie, right from the very first movie, right, they have a separate track for Ali. Like he creates a separate track which has no relation to the story whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's fine. It started off pretty benign, like back in Idiot. I don't know if you watched that movie back in
Yeah.
2004, 2003.
Yasika, right? He's like the
Right?
guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like బీదర్కెళ్ళి ఇసుక వేస్తూ ఉంటాడు. Like for fun. Like, it was okay. I mean, it was fun. It was harmless, good.
Yeah.
But then as he noticed the progression, I mean, I don't want to call it progression, but the way it devolved, right? His sense of comedy and humor, it's gotten worse and worse. And I think Double Smart, that Boca character is like the ultimate, like
Yeah.
this is it, right? I mean, there's no going back from here. Right?
I see. One would think that Liger is someone's absolute worst, but
Yeah.
this gives heavy competition. Like I honestly can't tell you which one's worse.
Oh yeah,
Like
like yeah,
Liger is the
yeah,
bigger disappointment, of course, because more
yeah,
hopes were on it.
yeah,
But in terms of just the filmmaking and like the
yeah.
story and everything, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what this guy's doing. I don't know how he's even able to get money to make films still after doing stuff like this.
Yeah, I know
But
you. That's what I was telling. Like, I think on Reddit, I made a post saying that if Liger is a death blow, this is the final nail in the coffin for him. Like, this is done. Like, basically, like it's. I don't know where he goes from here. It's an uphill task.
yeah,
Uh, yeah.
Shed. There's only one spot left. It's the shed.
yeah,
Um, but
yeah,
yeah, I think and that's all I had to say. You know, and 2024 was a colossal disappointment for me. As movie lovers, మేము content కోసం చూస్తూ ఉంటాం, and
Yeah.
you know, it's sadly enough, you know, there's too many times where we paid for that ticket, we're in the seats, and then our smiles just slowly fade. So I don't, frankly, a game changer, Devara. We don't like. I think best case we'll get a good movie out of Pushpa 2 and maybe Devara, but besides that, I think this year's a washout, and hopefully Seish, Nani, and these guys can lead the way in 2025, and let's
I
see
think
what they do.
2025 there is a good lineup. At
Yeah.
least
yeah. Hopefully, there's better films.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
yeah. I mean,
this
if you guys
also
haven't
could-
watched 35, I'd say go watch it. It's pretty good. I
I'm
think
planning on it with family
yeah,
this weekend.
yeah, it's pretty good. I loved it so much that I bought book tickets for my parents back in India and sent them yesterday. It was really good.
Oh wow,
That was
nice.
the only movie this year that rated like a 9 for me. Everything else was 6 and a
yeah.
half ish.
Yeah,
So
I'm really intrigued by that one. I gotta check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah. I'll text you when I finish, and we can, you know, we
yeah,
can talk
yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk. We can talk about other. We can discuss more. I think there's a lot to be learned from Malayalam industry. I watch all languages, as I said. So I think the amount of effort they put in character development, I think we should learn from them. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think we wrapped it up beautifully because I think we have like 45 seconds.
Yep.
So, and you know, why waste our time discussing movies that they didn't even, you know, spend much of their time creating. So, um,
But we did. We spent
we
45
did,
minutes.
yeah, 45. Yeah. But it was wonderful getting to speak with you. I think this was a great experience, and thanks for being on our show. Loved your input, and we'll definitely collaborate more. And guys, please make sure to follow Cinephile India. Great content as always.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks so much.
It's been a pleasure. I had fun chatting. So yeah, looking forward to more of these.
All right. Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye.
You guys,
Bye.
bye.